I hear a lot of bad news. Share with us one of your recent victories, some good news.
Well, some of the good news is we've been able to interfere with the commerce of shark fins through the Taiwanese fleets. In Costa Rica, one of our main problems was, when we had all the exposure 8 or 6 years ago with the shark finning industry, it was because of the Taiwanese boats. And they were taking advantage of several loopholes in the system, and also just the general reluctance of the authorities to enforce certain regulations. The laws were there, but the authorities were just like,
Right.
So, we had to take the government to court, and we recently had a big victory in 2010, and we closed down. Our big issue was the use of private docks by the foreign fleets, because in private docks you can't protect.
You can't inspect them or anything like that?
Inspect them, because it's like one day we have noticed that there's a shark fin landing at one of these private docks. And we show up with a Coast Guard officer who's a friend of ours, and a Coast Guard has authority of police. But we show up at the private dock, and he thinks he's going to raid the place, because we know there's shark fins being landed. And the folks at the gate just said, "Okay, wise guys, let me see your court warrant." And of course, it's private property. I can't just raid your home. You need an order from the court to be able to interfere with private property. That's why the United States and most countries in the world have the regulation that says if you import products into the nation, which is what the Taiwanese boats do, you must use a public facility to protect the public interest. Like, how else can the state charge taxes or homeland security or migration? None of these interests can be protected in a private dock.
Who are these private ports? Anyone and everyone that's susceptible to money, or is it a particular group of people that tend to do this?
Well, this private dock issue is the Taiwanese businessmen, the Taiwanese shark finners.
Those ports, those docks, were owned by Taiwanese.
Yes, Taiwanese Costa Ricans.
In Costa Rica.
And this is a real interesting story, because in 1982, the Costa Rican government invited a mission from Taiwan to teach the Costa Ricans how to use long lines, because we had no idea in 1982. But when they came down, these technicians came over, and they started showing the Costa Ricans how to use long lines. They saw the fortune that could be made with the shark fins, and they took off their hats. They took off their technology transfer hats, and they put on their fisherman shark finning hats. Then they established in Punta Arenas, and of course, after 10 or 15 years, they were married to Costa Rican citizens. They had Costa Rican children, so they were actually Costa Ricans. But all the money is coming from Taiwan and from Taiwanese companies.
It's another example of raping a backyard that isn't your backyard.
Yeah, and to do that, of course, you have to be in cahoots with certain government authorities. And so that's why we had to go to court, because this law in Costa Rica just wasn't being abided by. And we went through 3 presidents until President Chinchilla, our last president, she was the one that finally ordered the private docks to be closed. And two presidents ago, we already had the legislator to do it. It's just that nobody wanted to. It was incredible. So, that was a major victory. And after we closed down the private docks, we didn't say Taiwanese go away from Costa Rica. We were just saying Taiwanese abide by Costa Rican laws. And just because of that, like 80 or 90% of the fleet left. There used to be 10 private docks. Yeah, there used to be 10 private docks. Now there's only 1, and it half operates. And yeah, we pretty much tore the industry down. Unfortunately, in the big picture, though, all we did was they moved to Guatemala and El Salvador. They moved to other countries where the regulations are more lax. That's the frustrating
so it
part.
was kind of a victory, but those same sharks, well, not the same sharks, but same numbers of sharks are just being decimated a little bit further away.
Yeah, and that's why we're trying to work with other countries now. We're trying to work in international conventions, because we need these regulations to be regional. But for this to happen, we need countries to be leaders in these processes, and we're trying to turn Costa Rica into one of these leaders.